Okay. Can everybody see the screen? That's great. All righty. Well, there's a little error right there. Let's go ahead and fix that while we're sitting here talking to each other. There we go. February 21st. All righty, folks. So for this weekend's Hard to Recycle, we will be coming back to the campus of Enka High School in Candler, North Carolina. This is a rain or shine event, so if you can, bring a parka or a rain jacket with you. The rain is supposed to happen, but it's supposed to be much later in the afternoon, so we don't expect to have that. But we do expect to have some cool weather that morning, and we do recommend you wear layers, sneakers, comfy clothes. And please do bring along a reusable coffee cup or reusable water bottle because we will provide hot and cold beverages as well as snacks to keep you going throughout the event. So again, the event runs from 10 until 2, but many of you sign up for one of two shifts. So we have a first shift, which is 9 o'clock to 12, and then the second shift, which is 11:30 to 2:30. And we're going to go through that here in just a second. But I would like to recognize the people who help us put this event on. So these are our partners. Without these partners, we would not be able to do this. So Asheville Greenworks is just the convener. We put these events together. We work with the volunteers. We hold the insurance. We do all those pieces of the puzzle. But these are the persons who actually take the items to be either reused or recycled. And some of those ones you're going to recognize right away when you see these names, like Curbside Management. They're our local recycler. You're going to see people like Biltmore Iron and Metal Company, who is the oldest metal recycler in the area, Buncombe County, City of Asheville. But then we have a few on here you're probably not super familiar with, but are really great. So FCC Environmental, who handles the waste management for the county right now. We also have Smoky Mountain Waste and a couple of really new folks to us, which is Grilligate, which is Remix It AVL and the W&C Repair Cafe. So some really, really neat folks coming out helping us get these items out of there. So for those of you who might have come through the event before or you've heard about it, these events we set up in large parking lots and we'll see anywhere from 600 to 1,000 cars in 4 hours. And so the coordination piece for us is paramount. So we want to make sure that all of our volunteers are safe, all of our residents are safe as they're coming through the event. So what we do is we try to set up a traffic team who is in the front. They're our front line of this. So those are the persons who are answering a lot of questions. They have walkie-talkies. They're communicating really well with each other, making sure that the traffic's flowing. They're making sure that there's persons understanding where they're going next and where they need to be, so that when they do get into the event itself, that they're prepared and ready and safe once they get there. So hats off to our traffic team. So if you're on the traffic team, it is a lot of fun. You do get to come up with your own handle for your walkie-talkie, which is fun. So for this particular event, we are going to switch it up. So if anybody had come to the recycling event last year at Inca, we were at the smaller parking lot. So thankfully this year we get to use the larger student parking area, which is going to be so much nicer because we can put a lot more cars into the campus without endangering anybody out on the main road. So we are going to bring folks in. And if you can see my cursor here, they're going to be coming in the blue line, going up through the parking lots, coming through the parking lots, and then through the event itself, which is down here at the bottom. Now, I want you to take note of the volunteer parking area. It is the tier of parking, which will be just above the event. We're going to have some signs there pointing you toward the volunteer parking. So that'll be easy to get to. But that's also where the headquarters tent is going to be. So that little white tent there that says HQ on it, that's going to be headquarters. That's where you're going to check in. That's where the snacks is going to be. That's where we do our orientation is going to happen, first aid, all of those sort of things are going to be right there. The Porta John. So that'll be up and out of the way of the event itself. And so please, this is the area we want you to come and check in, but we also want you to come back to it when you need a quick break, if you need to refill your beverages, you need to get a quick snack. Absolutely, this is the space to come back up to. So that'll be in the volunteer parking area. And on that bottom tier is where we're going to have all of our sponsors. And so it's kind of hard to see here on the screen, but we're staggering our sponsors and we're going to have two lines of traffic going through the center of it. And the reason for this is the school has already a semi trailer in the parking lot that's down there. So we need to put our event sort of around that semi trailer. It's not going to be in the way, but we had to rearrange the order of things. And for the day of, we will hand out these little cheat sheets that you can have, and then we'll take you on an orientation of where all of the sponsors are located so that when you're a runner, for instance, you know exactly when someone comes in with a television, where that television needs to go. Person's coming in with books, you need to know where to take that. And then also when you're working a specific station, you'll be there at your station, but we want you to know where all of the other partners are located. Coming into this event is pretty simple. We want you to come in through the main entrance, which is 475 Inca Lake Road. If you try to just type this in Waze or in MapQuest or in Apple Maps, if you just try to put in Inca High School, it's going to take you to the back of the school. It's going to take you back where the ball fields are and the pool. So what we recommend is to actually type in the address, the 475 Inca Lake Road, and you're going to come in the main entrance is where you're going to see the hard to recycle signs are already going to be set up right there at the stoplight, making you come left into the school event itself. So do be looking for those signs as you're coming in. And if you do have any questions, I will give you my cell phone number at the end, and you're very welcome to call me the day of the event or text me, and we can help you get there. But yeah, so just come on in. If you're a first shift volunteer, come straight in, find the parking area, come to the tent, sign in, and then we'll get you to work setting up. Setup goes from 9 until 9:30. At 9:30, we do what we call the roundup, and so that's where everybody gets together. We do a quick orientation. We talk about where everything is at, and then we go off to our stations and we start the event. Sometimes we start a little bit earlier if everybody's in position, but usually start right at 10 o'clock. For our second shift crew coming in, there's going to be a line of traffic that you're going to have to try to fight to get into the school, because there's only one way to get into the school, and that is the main entrance. So what we're going to ask you to do is, as second shifters, when you pull in, turn on your hazard lights, and our traffic team will see that. They'll see your hazard lights, and they're going to get you through the traffic so you can get parked, and they'll know you're one of us. Oh, that's one of our volunteers. Let's get them up to the front here. So second shifters, when you're coming in for your 11:30 shift, put on your hazard lights. Oh, look at that. There's Christine at the headquarters tent, and she's got all those snacks and everything ready for you. And that's what we'll do. We're going to keep you full of sugar and beverages because it is a fun event and we want to keep you happy while you're there. When you get there, you're going to see sign-in sheets. Please find your name, check yourself off, and sign. That way, we know you're there and you've signed and you've read. We'll have a waiver laying out printed for you to look at that we like for everybody just to take a look at real quick, because we are on Buncombe County Schools property. And so we just want to make sure that all risks and everything are assumed by Asheville Greenworks, and we will do our best to take care of you at the event, keep you hydrated and happy. Safety is a primary goal for us, so we will give you gloves, and we do ask that you wear those at all times while you're working, so that we can cut down on scrapes, bruises, and bumps and such. And if you need a fresh pair, come back over, and you can change out at any time. We have our safety vests. We ask that you wear those as well. Please feel free to bring any personal snacks with you as well too. We're going to have a selection, but we may not have exactly something to your either taste or your ability to eat. So do feel free to bring those. As again, please bring a refillable water bottle or a refillable coffee container, and we'll make sure to keep you full of liquids. One of the pieces that we've found out over the years is as the car pulls up, we do want the patron to stay in the car if they can at all possible. Come up and start communicating with them. Hi, do you mind if I open your gates to get this out? And when you're back there, oh, can I take this box that's here? So just that good communication with folks. We want to make sure we're not grabbing out items that we're not supposed to get. That goes into the next piece. Don't remove items from the vehicle unless you can accept it. And I say this because people they do a lot of wishful recycling with us. So they're bringing us items with the hope that we can take it and recycle it. So again, that cheat sheet we're going to give you, it's going to tell you all the items that we can take. We go off of what we can take versus what we can't take. There are a few items that we put on there that are pretty blaring as far as things we cannot take, and I'm going to go over that in a second. But just try to stick to the ones we can take. And if you have any question about this, we're going to have experts walking around that you can immediately grab and say, "Can you take a look at this before I get this box out of this car?" Because once you take it out of the car, a lot of times it's ours, and so we got to make sure that it is something that we can take before we get it. If you see something that you'd really like to keep from the event, just check in with one of the experts to make sure that it is something you can take home with you. Um, we would love it if somebody could reuse a lot of these items that we have, but we do just check in with the experts or check in with the persons running the stations to make sure it is something you can take home. One of the items that we don't allow anybody to take home is going to be your electronics. So things like your laptops, cell phones, things like that that's coming in. All those have to go to a company called Biltmore Computers that's there, and they make sure everything is either wiped or destroyed. And so those are the only item that we absolutely cannot let anybody take home. And then basically just help us keep the event moving. So as you see something, if you see a car stalled or stopped or something along those lines, just check with the resident, make sure everything's okay with them to help keep the event flowing. There are three colors of vests that we use at the event. Your green vests are going to be your experts. Those are the persons that have been to the event for a long time, and they're trained and they can manage the event. They can answer all questions. They can answer anybody that maybe is having a bad morning, and they can come over and help you out with that. Your orange vest is going to be a group leader. These are highly trained volunteers who've come to these events so many times, and so they're going to be actually running a particular station. So styrofoam, televisions, scrap metals, TerraCycle, so they're your person. They're your supervisor, if you will, that you can ask them those direct questions. What do I do with this? Can we take that? Those kind of questions. So they're really great to have. And then finally, our yellow vest is for the heart and soul of our organization, which is our standard vest. You folks deal directly with our residents. You're sorting materials, you're running, you're keeping it moving, but most importantly, you're staying safe. So staying very safe and visible for these cars. And one of the things we say to folks is always try to face the car as you're moving in front of it, so you're making eye contact and you can see folks. We set up on the front end of our event. We set up a series of persons who have electronic readers because folks are always so generous with us, and this event runs on donations, and it runs on grants, and it runs on contract support that we have from the city and the county. So we want to try to make it easy for folks to make a donation, or if they have a fee they need to pay, we try to make that as easy as possible. So we do have a team that is working the very front of the event, and we have team members that'll be actually inside the event itself, walking around with those card readers. And so if there does need to be an electronic transaction, they can take care of that. And really the big two that they're looking for is the television fee. So the only item we charge for at the event, we charge $10 for all televisions. So regardless of the size of the television, we have to charge for that. The televisions are very expensive to recycle. Our patron or the partner that we deal with, Biltmore Metal Company, actually they have to pay something like $17 and we pay 10. So I think the whole thing is $27 to recycle each television. So it's a really good deal for residents. This and so they help collect these fees for us. So we want to make sure that we're collecting that fee for Biltmore Metal Company before that patron has a chance to leave. Another thing that we do is these folks who are making donations for us, we want to try to recognize them. We want to say thank you to them. And so we have these really cool little VIP tags that go under the person's windshield wiper. And you'll see that, and that is because somebody came to the event and they made a donation right there at the event to support it. So we always give them the same level of care we give everyone else, but it's always nice to recognize them and say, hey, thank you, I appreciate you, thank you for making a donation. So if you feel moved and you see somebody that's got that VIP, do thank them for that. That is really nice. Some of the other data that we're collecting at the event in the front end is the zip codes. And so zip codes for us is very important because we want to see how far people are having to travel to come to these events, because the goal for Hard to Recycle is to move it into a convenience center, is to have a one center, one location that people can come to 2 to 3 days a week, every week, to be able to recycle these items. And so we have to build a case for this. So that's what we're currently doing with the city and the county, and trying to find a location, trying to get funding for it so that we can have this. So the zip code information is very important for us. So you'll see people collecting those various information, gathering from them. Inside again, you're going to have somebody who is dedicated at the television station that is there to help process payments, because it can get kind of busy occasionally. And so, I'm myself, I don't carry cash. So it would be very nice to make sure that we have somebody there that can do that. So if you are working on the data collection team, you'll have a special training that will happen at the event. So at the after the roundup, you'll go with the team leader for that, which is going to actually be our executive director, AJ Hardy. And so you'll be working with AJ to learn how to do this and what exactly what we're doing here. Let's see. So we already passed that about the VIP on the window, and you're going to recognize those good people and say thank you if you feel moved. So, list of accepted items. Now, this is a very much a pared down version of all of the items because there's a few things on here like TerraCycle through the city of Asheville is a very long list of items that we're able to take. And we're going to give you a more comprehensive list at the event. But for purposes this evening, let's talk about the big items that we take, sort of the big five items. And so, electronics. And say this to yourself: if it's ever had electricity or gasoline running through this appliance or this machine, well, we can take it to be recycled. So dehumidifiers, pressure washers, old lawn mowers, a printer, we can take it. We can take all those items to be recycled. And again, the only thing that has a fee is a television or a monitor. So think of your monitor, your little screen monitors. Think of the really large Sony television that weighs 1,000 pounds. We can take that for $10. Scrap metals of all kinds, we can take that, and then batteries. So all kinds of batteries, from hearing aid batteries to car batteries, we can take that to be recycled. Um, Go back to talking about the computer and the peripheries, the telephones, the cell phones, tablets, laptops. All of those are going to go to Biltmore Electronics. So Biltmore Electronics is a really great company that's here based in Asheville. And what they do, and they have been doing for our events for a long time, is keeping persons' data safe. So when someone brings us their phone, they bring us their laptop, we guarantee that it's going to be their drive is going to be destroyed so that there's no chance of their data being leaked after this. But the componentry itself is either going to be completely disassembled or it's going to, have a new hard drive put back into it so that it gets a new life somewhere else. So we really love working with these folks because they do such a fantastic job of taking these things apart and then finding new homes for all these electronics. That's a better expression of our process of recycling, that reuse process versus having it ground up and then starting over. They can also take toner cartridges, cameras, networking equipment. So it's a wide range of things that they can take. So styrofoam. Styrofoam is our big ticket item. That is the item that you're going to see in almost every vehicle that comes through. And this event, we are starting to take a new kind of styrofoam. And we're going to have some examples there for you. But primarily, the type of styrofoam that we've been able to take over the years is your packaging styrofoam. So you just bought a new television and it has that white, hard styrofoam that when you break it, it turns into tiny little beads. So we can take that kind of styrofoam. We can take food grade styrofoam. So your styrofoam cups, your plates, your clamshells, the styrofoam clamshells you got from a takeout container. As long as it's clean, we can take those. And now at this event, we're going to be able to take a new kind of styrofoam, which I have a slide of, and I'm going to show you in a second. It's the squishy style. So that's really going to be nice that we can start taking that kind of styrofoam. Curbside is there, and they're going to be collecting cardboard. They're going to be collecting books and shredded paper. It's my daughter's favorite station is the book station. So you'll probably look over occasionally and see a child with their head stuck out of the dumpster. That is my Anna, and she's been coming to these events a long time. So she loves sorting books. We do try to divert as many of these books as we possibly can to area nonprofits, businesses, prison books program that we can. The ones we can't divert, those are all shredded up and they do become hydroseed material. So we are working on that to try to get these books in hands. And so this is very cognizant. We have persons working on it right now to try to figure out the best way to do this. And then TerraCycle. So TerraCycle is a very large category of very interesting items. These are things you definitely cannot put into your regular recycling bin. So think um, deodorant packaging, oral care, squeezable food pouches, razor blades, unopened cutlery packages, Brita filters. They can take all of these sort of really interesting things, and it's either getting reused or it's getting turned into something that can be reused, which is fantastic. So the folks that'll be working at the styrofoam station, this is a really interesting place to be. A um, it is a very fast-paced space. This you're going to have these giant bags that you're going to be placing your styrofoam inside of, and we do need to make sure that that styrofoam is clean when it goes in. So no dirty styrofoam, no styrofoam covered in tape. So you'll be spending some time, sorting it out, cleaning it, maybe even giving it back to the person if it's in too bad a shape, so that we can bag it up and then ship it to dark container to be recycled. And the reason why we go to this trouble is if we put dirty styrofoam in with these clean bags, once it gets to dart, they just throw the whole bag away instead of being recycled. So we want it as clean a product as we can. We're going to have two semi trailers there, and I bet you we're going to fill both of them up by the end of the event. So this is our yeses and nos, and this nos is a little bit out of date because we just this week have started taking the squishy styrofoam. So, and what I'll do is I'll draw your attention to the yeses again, which is your food grade clean styrofoam, your egg cartons, your white packaging styrofoam, absolutely. But now we're going to be able to start taking over here in the top right corner this type of squishy styrofoam. We still cannot take insulation style styrofoam. Whoops. And we cannot take packing peanuts or this type of wrap, but we can start taking some squishy style styrofoam. So um, think pool noodles, think that type of plasticky feeling foam that comes around electronics occasionally. So this is usually number 4, which is low density polyethylene is what it's called. So if you see this type, or if you can think of pool noodles, that's what this is. That's the type that we're going to be able to start taking. That has to be sorted separately from the regular hard styrofoam because it is going to a different place. It's going to a company that's located down in Shelby, North Carolina, to be recycled. So that ought to be fun. This electronics is a very busy station as well too. Um, you're going to be moving a lot of product around, so we're going to have some carts there that make it a little bit easier to move some things around. And remember, don't be like Blake here in the photo. He's one of the owners of Biltmore Iron and Metal Company. He's amazing. Try to get some help when you're carrying something around. It doesn't hurt to ask. It's teamwork makes the dream work. So electronic scrap, appliances, metals, televisions, monitors, all of that's going to go in there. It's going to be incredible. And again, the televisions do have a fee. It is $10 to be recycled, and so we want to make sure we're collecting that fee before the person leaves the event. Here's our friends over at Biltmore Computers, and as you can see, they are tearing down electronics right there on the spot, and they are taking it apart and getting it shelved. They have this really cool trailer that they're putting everything into. It's a really neat station. They usually bring out their own staff and volunteers to run this, but they may ask for folks to give them a hand occasionally. And again, it's all your cell phones, tablets, laptops, desktop computers, toner ink or cartridges. We have signs, but you can also, as we're doing this at the event, someone's going to help you out. They'll help you know where these things go. Here we are to books and shredded paper. Um, you're welcome to take home as many books as you like. I know my daughter's going to have a box of books waiting for me before we leave. There's the book station, and I'm sure my daughter's probably inside of that dumpster right now when I took that photo. Yeah, so it's a busy station where we're sorting out the books and trying to get them diverted. Curbside is going to be collecting cardboard, and they're going to have one of their rear packer trucks there, and it's a lot of fun. Anybody that signed up for the cardboard station, you get to run the machine. That's always a lot of fun. TerraCycle, I need an updated photo. TerraCycle now is a massive operation at the event. It's a huge tent. The city of Asheville has went all out. They have a beautiful system of how it's sorted. They usually bring their own employees, but they always love having volunteers that's helping them sort at the event itself. So getting all those things recycled before they can end up in the trash. So here's a couple common items we cannot accept. And we're going to get these over and over and over and over again. And I will tell you the reason why we can't accept a lot of these items is because there's already some place you can take them. So things like light bulbs, your little curly CFL light bulbs, you can take those to Home Depot and Lowe's to be recycled 7 days a week. Plastic baggies, you can take to Ingles, you can take them to Walmart and Target and different places like that. They have places they can take those to be recycled. But then we get into something like rigid plastic. So plastic lawn chairs, toys, kids' toys, buckets, pipes, PVC, things like that. We do not have any way to recycle that. We have not been able to do this since 2011. The price for a barrel of oil right now is something like $68 a barrel. We needed over $100 a barrel for the recycling industry to really pick up and start recycling those rigid plastics again. This over here too, construction material. You may have some folks come in and say, I have some perfectly good wood, drywall. I have this toilet. Can you take any of this? Sadly, we cannot. And then any kind of liquids we're not allowed to accept. So paints, cooking oil, motor oils, chemicals, liquids. We cannot accept any of those. We are going to give you a cheat sheet as well too that tells folks where they can take these items. So if someone says, well, where can I take this? You can hand them that slip, and so they can be educated to be where they can take that item to be recycled. And a lot of these things, like your motor oils and paints, it is easy to recycle in Buncombe County. It's just giving them the information so they can. More, just a little bit bigger list here. So your fluorescent tubes we cannot take. Again, paints, uh, mattresses, tires, um, flower pots, motor oils, all those sort of things. So it's basically, we're going off the list of what you can take, and that's really the list that everyone's going to have is what we can take versus what we cannot. You're going to get some questions from folks like, "Hey, what are you doing with all this styrofoam?" The styrofoam actually, the majority of it goes to Randleman, North Carolina, which is out by Greensboro. And what they do is Dart Container Company takes all this and they process it and it turns it into new plastic products. Why do we charge for televisions? TVs, monitors, they have to all be disassembled by hand because they do contain some heavy metals and some rare metals. And so they want to make sure all that stuff is safe when it is taken apart. Um, why aren't there more hard to recycle events? And so you're sitting here, you're the reason because it takes a lot of people to run these events. And so what we're trying to work toward is, as I said in the beginning, is having a convenience center that's open 2 to 3 days every week. So we are working toward that so that we can make sure that folks can dispose of these items on a more regular basis, make it a more equitable program. And then how can I get involved is just like we're doing here now is you folks have put your name out there so that you can help us at this event. So everyone can go to ashevillegreenworks.org, check out the upcoming events, and see how to get involved. So this right here is at the end, and I don't know why my phone number is not there. She is. It just disappears. It's weird. Maybe I'll type it right here. Maybe it'll show up. Oh, keeps disappearing. That's odd. Hmm. Squish it together then. There we go. I have no idea what's going on here, folks. I'll put it in the chat for everybody else so that we have that. All right, let's see. Do we have any questions in the chat? Please feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question, or if you'd like, you can type it up here and we will answer those questions for you. Let's see what we got in the chat so far. TerraCycle does, this is a good question. TerraCycle at our event will accept plastic bags. And so this is a very new component for us at the event. The city has decided to start collecting bags at the event. We're still telling everybody though that you can take it to almost every retailer and grocer in Buncombe County. There's a few that you cannot, but majority of them you can take them back to, and it's very convenient. There's 7 of them. Excuse me, they're open 7 days a week. So we still try to tell everybody to use that as your option first. Take it to your local grocery store and your retailer first instead of waiting for our hard to recycle events. What else we have here? All-in-one computers are not subject. That's exactly right. That's a great point that you've made. So an all-in-one computer is going to be one of those old, so like iMacs, things like this, where the computer screen is built into the computer itself. We don't charge for those. But if it's a free and standalone computer, yes, or excuse me, free and standalone monitor or television, we do charge for those. And a lot of the persons in the front of line in traffic and in data collection are already speaking to folks as well too. They're looking in their car. Ooh, what do you have for me? And they're trying to talk to folks and say, oh, it's going to be $10 for those two, for that television that's in there. So it's not a real surprise once they pull into the event itself. What other questions do we have? I'll go ahead and I'll stop the recording as well.